The Grind, a Minnesota sports podcast.
Welcome into The Grind. My name is Tim, and I'm the host of this Minnesota sports podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button right there, one of the corners, and hit that like button on this video. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you're listening somewhere else, follow the show wherever you're listening and rate and review the show if that is something you're willing to do as well. We've got plenty of Minnesota Vikings chatter to discuss on today's podcast, particularly about the Vikings offensive line and the annihilation station that has been happening in the trenches. So we're going to talk about that on today's show. But first, I need to tell you about 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis, because they transformed our entire bathroom in 48 hours. New floors, a step got removed, a new tub, a new shower head, a new surround, which had mold in it. They took care of that. We went from a single to a double sink, a new mirror, a new vanity, new counter. They remodeled our entire bathroom, and we had it back in 2 days. Affordable payment plans, free consultations. Give 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis a call today and figure out your bathroom needs. Don't cram into your teeny tiny bathroom for 8 weeks. Call 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis and get your bathroom transformed today. All right. According to reporters, this is via Kevin Seifert, via the Purple Persuasion, the best Twitter account that follows the Minnesota Vikings, says this: despite Derisaw's presence, the Vikings' first team defense destroyed the starting offense. The offense moved the ball past the line of scrimmage only once on its first 8 plays. All 4 Vikings quarterbacks threw 1 interception. And JJ McCarthy nearly threw his second near the end of a 2-minute drill when he tried to throw across his body to running back Aaron Jones Sr. The ball sailed over Jones's head and then through the hands of linebacker Blake Cashman as well. The Minnesota Vikings offense got annihilated against the Minnesota Vikings defense. The trenches of Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, the combination of Dallas Turner, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Jonathan Grenard dominated the Vikings offense, pressured McCarthy, and forced McCarthy to make 2 bad throws. One of them intercepted, a second should have been intercepted. This is the second day in a row we've received a bad report about JJ McCarthy's practice. And now it becomes a story to follow. This is 2 bad days in a row. You have 1 bad day, it happens. When you have 2 bad days in a row, it becomes a story to follow. If McCarthy has 3 bad practices in a row, it becomes a little bit of a concern. And here's why it becomes a concern. The Minnesota Vikings are in win now mode offensively and defensively. It's the story we've been told all off season. We've got the trenches figured out on both sides of the ball. We've got defenders in the most important positions, and we've got the offensive side figured out. We've got depth at the running back. We've got the receivers. We've got the pieces to go to the Super Bowl. But the most important position in football, the quarterback position, is going to be a first-time starting QB who will turn 23 years old in January. And a quarterback that young with that inexperience has never won a Super Bowl. And what we've been seeing, and here's the rub. There's a rub here between what's happening. There's a rub between, well, McCarthy's got to learn. He's got to figure it out. He's got to get the experience. He's got to figure out all those things that young quarterbacks need to figure out. But he doesn't have time to do that because the Vikings are in win now mode. We don't have time for our quarterback to go through a year of trying to figure it out. Because it's not like Javon Hargrave and the Jonathan Allens are 27, 28 years old. These guys have maybe 1 year left of prime football. So it's not like we can just have this year be an experimental year. Dan Orlovsky, an ESPN analyst, said the Vikings are going to go to the NFC title game if McCarthy is just an average QB. And so do you understand the rub? There's a rub between McCarthy's got to grow into the QB that we all hope he will be. But at the same time, he better be ready to win regular season and playoff games immediately. Because we don't have all day or all season to try to experience and learn these different things on the fly. And that's why bringing in a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers was intriguing. Because you don't have to wait a year for Rodgers to get acclimated into the NFL and get used to the speed of the game and understand the little details that go into reading a defense and calling an audible. This is the second day in a row now that McCarthy and the Vikings offense has had a bad day. Now, I'm not saying it's the end of the day or the end of the road for McCarthy or the Vikings offense. I'm not saying they're going to be bad all year, but I'm just saying we need to watch this story closely, because if the Vikings offense continues to get destroyed and McCarthy continues to struggle in practice while he gets 2% better every day, there has to be some conflict within that Vikings organization because of the rub that I was discussing. The team's ready to win now, but the quarterback might not be to that place where that team is because he's still growing and processing and progressing. It's not the end of the world yet, so I'm not freaking out. But it is a story to monitor, because this is now 2 days in a row where McCarthy has struggled in practice, and now the Minnesota Vikings offensive line got annihilated by the Vikings defensive line. I call it the annihilation station. And Christian Darrisaw was playing. The entire offensive line was intact. The line that we were told would be a top 5 offensive line in football just got completely clobbered against a potential top 5 defensive line in football. And the problem that I have with this story is that you read these reports about the Vikings defense, and you would kind of get lost in just how good they are. Based on the reports we are reading, it almost feels a little like the 1985 Bears defense. Clobbering the line. They're unstoppable. it almost feels a little over the top hyped right now. Because based on what I'm reading in these reports, it seems like there is no way a regular season NFL team is going to put up 2 touchdowns on the Vikings during any game, when that's most likely not going to be true. So these reports are really pumping up the Vikings defense for what it is. And they're just telling the story. But when you read these reports, sometimes what happens is you take them and blow them out of proportion. You read the story of the Vikings defensive line is blowing up the Vikings offensive line. And then your head can go to a place of, do the Vikings have the best defense in the league? Is this one of the best defenses ever? So I just want to caution you to pump the brakes a little bit on just how good the Vikings defense is. And maybe they do have the best defense in the league. Maybe they will prove to be better than the 1985 Bears defense. But let's also just cool it down, let this fester, and see what kind of product the Vikings defense is on the field in week 1 against Caleb Williams, who struggled for most of the year last year. But do you understand what I'm saying? Because these reports about just how good the Vikings defense has been have been all over our feeds. And when that happens, you can kind of get lost in just how good they are. Just saying. Thank you for joining the show today. Remember to check out 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. Also, check out Hoagland Farms Beef, 952-491-1541, for the best rotationally grazed 100% grass-fed beef. Thanks for joining the show. Hope you all have a good day. Talk to you later.